I'm really thrilled to be able to introduce you to our first speaker, who is a very purpose-driven CMO at Puzzel, who believes great technology brands are built from the inside out through a strategy rooted in empathy, teams powered by trust, and stories that spark action. And she has a special focus on scale-ups, running large, dispersed, and complex teams, as well as aligning marketing, enablement, business development, and sales. So please help me welcome Gabriela Atkinson.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama...
Right, wherever Coolio is, I hope he's proud of me right now because I probably did not do him justice. I am Gabby Atkinson. I'm really thrilled to be here to talk to you guys today. It's a highly controversial topic, but I'm going to introduce it anyway. Who here thinks that the economy is really bad right now and it's to blame for most of our evils? Cool. I'm here to tell you it's not. The economy is really bad, but the reason that marketers fail is not because of the economy. And if I go to my CEO and say that one more time, he will kick me. So I'm going to give you guys the playbook so you never have to say that again. I'm from Puzzel. Puzzel is a contact center as a service business. Wow, what a mouthful. And we're headquartered in Oslo. And we have a lot of scaling under our belts. And so a lot of the patterns that I'm going to share with you guys here today are patterns that I've lived continuously over the last almost 20 years of career right now. So everything is lived, none of it is theory. I have 20 minutes with you guys, or thereabouts, 4 ideas, 1 diagnostic that you guys can run. But the thing that I want to tell you guys today is SaaS companies, they're stalling between thereabouts 20 and 50 million in ARR. And when the boards look at it, and I've been in my fair share of board meetings, the instinct is to blame the product, the pricing, or even the team. And I hate when people blame the team. Sometimes could be the problem a little bit, but most of the time they're not. And so what's actually capping growth is the marketing system that we live with, the tactics, the structures, the assumptions that we make every single day. And what worked really, really well up to that 10 million mark, it doesn't work when you're at about 30 million. And nobody names it because, you know, by the time it's obvious, it's too late. And so this is the uncomfortable bit that we need to sit with for a little bit. And the ceiling at this stage is almost entirely self-built. We do this to ourselves. It's not the market. It's not the competition. We can't keep blaming the competition, you guys. We have our own moats. People come to us for a reason, right? It's you. And I'm sorry, but it's your team and the decisions that you made 2 to 3 years ago, that they were right back then. They're certainly not right today. And so the reason is, it's really hard to see from the inside. So you can't really, blame yourselves too much because I've been there, I've not seen it. I've seen patterns repeat that just weren't working anymore. And so it's hard to see from the inside because sometimes these things feel like they're working. We kind of understand that, MQL slowed down and things slowed down, but, it's still kind of there. The campaigns are shifting and the numbers just keep getting harder to achieve. This harder bit is the signal that everybody needs to pay attention to, because that's the system telling you it's hit its limit. You're no longer in a productive place. So here's the map, right? There's 4 ideas that I'm going to introduce to you guys today, 4 very important ideas that I've lived. The first one is that every early stage growth tactic has an expiry date. It's kind of like milk. Once it expires, it starts to stink a little bit. And I'll show you how to spot yours, because you will definitely have that. The second one is that you're living with a bunch of invisible constraints, the things that you don't see in the dashboard, but they're doing the most damage to you guys. The third one is what a scalable GTM system actually looks like and why it's completely different from what most teams are running today. And I've seen this time and time again. The fourth one, and this is one that has kicked me in the butt more times than I can count, is that the CMO has to change to be able to run it. And this is something that you learn with the experience and just by sometimes making the mistakes, but hopefully what I'm sharing with you guys today will avoid making that. So the first idea, we've talked about it a little bit already. So every marketing tactic that will drive that early SaaS growth has a built-in expiry date. It's not a diminishing returns curve. It's a proper expiry. So the tactic just stops working. And it starts working actively against you even. And so there's 3 that are worth naming today. Founder-led demand. Sometimes when a founder starts a company, they're super charismatic. They go to all the podcasts, they know all of the people, and so they build demand. But they only know so many people, and so that stops working very quickly, and that expires. The other one is channel concentration. Whenever somebody starts in marketing, there's usually a dominant channel, whether that is, or was back in the day, SEO, or partners, whatever that may be. It worked a lot, and it was responsible for a disproportionate amount of leads. And then all of a sudden it stops working because you've exhausted that market. And so the channel concentration is pretty dangerous to live in. And then just ship more. I think every single marketer here and everyone in revenue has always said, just do more. You throw stuff at it and it'll start working. Again, diminishing returns. And the second that you start hearing that, it's a telltale sign. You've hit that shelf life. Now, again, there's 4 signals that that expiry date has hit as well, because you've hit the pipeline plateau, right? And so spend is going up, pipeline isn't. And so that's the pretty classic efficiency cliff. It's really expensive to acquire customers. The second one is you have softening win rates, even in your core ICP, so not just the edge cases. And those are the accounts that you used to win very easily, and now you don't anymore. Again, something's going wrong there. The third one, and this is the one that drives me crazy every single time, salespeople, if you're here, don't do this to your marketers, it's not fair. But stop asking for more leads. More leads won't do it, right? You guys need to work together with your marketers on the better leads. And so that's the tell. When sales wants that volume over the fit, the system isn't working anymore either. And the fourth, the narrative feels really, really tired. So usually internally before externally. So you're tired of saying the same things at the same times, the same people. The deck hasn't changed in 18 months. The messaging is restated, it's not rewritten. Your system is aging in real time. So the second idea, there's an invisible constraint. Expiring tactics, they're visible. You can see things happening in real time. The invisible ones are a lot harder because they don't show up on that dashboard until they've already done the damage. So the 3 that I see matter all the time, and I've already kind of covered one a little bit, but the messaging drift. So every quarter, every big deal cycle, the story, it'll go sideways a little bit. And the sales will adjust for objection, marketing will adjust for a campaign, product will adjust for a launch. And 2 years in, everyone's telling a different message. Nobody knows what anything stands for anymore. Again, I think every marketer has kind of been there. No one owns the narrative, so no one owns that drift. The second one is the ICP sprawl. You start saying yes to every single deal that comes across. And so the second you start saying yes to everyone, you mean absolutely nothing to anybody. And the third one, and I think this one is pretty understated, but I think it's really important, is the brand debt. This one, I go to board meetings and they don't understand how important it really is, but every quarter you start over-indexing on the short-term tactics, forgetting that you're also building a brand. And that debt is invisible for a little while. You can kind of get away with it, but little by little, that customer acquisition cost starts going up, and it starts going up because nobody finds you. Nobody understands what you're trying to do as a company, right? And so it's a 2 to 3 year repair if you get to that point. So it's really important to spot that one early. Now, the reason those 3 stay invisible is that there's no magical dashboard that basically, like, you can't open Salesforce or whatever BI tool you use and say, messaging drift, 14% this quarter. Doesn't work like that, right? So it'll show one layer down in deal velocity, in the win rates, in the CAC to payback ratio. By the time that you start seeing them as a KPI, they've been compounding for far too long already, and you're already in trouble. So this is why they get fixed reactively after a board meeting. But the reality is that it needs to sit within go-to-market leadership and be proactively worked on. Now, what does a scalable GTM system look like then? The mistake that most teams make is thinking that the answer is more tactics. Let's just throw stuff at it and hope for the best. It's not. And I think a lot of you guys here will know this, right? The answer is a different operating model. And it's a structural shift that's needed more than anything else. And so there's 4 moves that I think are really, really important that I've done in several different companies that have been really successful. 1, you start moving campaigns as the unit of work to a narrative system as a unit of work. Campaigns are disposable. You do a campaign, you're done. And it's behind you, it's behind everybody else as well. A narrative system, on the other hand, is a very durable asset. So you have the story, you have the proof points, you have the positioning, you have the category frame. Every campaign will start drawing from that. So a campaign is kind of under that narrative system. The other one is, guys, stop talking about channels. Channels are a thing, but you need to service the ICP. So start working towards ICP-led motions. Don't organize your teams around paid and content and all of that. Organize it around the customer. What is the experience that the customer wants and needs? The third one, MQLs. After 10 million or so, MQLs don't really matter. They're a thing that we track because we kind of have to, but really you're looking at the quality of that pipeline, you're looking at the velocity, how fast are the right accounts getting through the funnel and closing successfully as well. And then the fourth, and that's the really big one, don't treat marketing as a function. It is go-to-market as an entire system. You've heard me today talking about go-to-market. It's fundamentally important to talk about that as an entire system. And that leads me to the thing that I lose sleep over all the time, is that my role as a CMO, the CMO's role absolutely has to change. Because if the system changes, the role that runs it has to change as well. And again, the skills that bring you to the CMO role that scale to 10 million are very different to the skills that you build as a CMO that will scale to 50 million. The title's the same, the work is definitely not. And so there's 4 responsibilities that I think a CMO who becomes a growth architect will have. Obviously, own the narrative. Someone needs to own the narrative because otherwise, again, that messaging sprawl and drift will continue to happen. It's not the campaigns, it's not the calendar. Of course, I'm aware of what's going on. But above all, my main concern is I own that message, the story underneath absolutely everything. Somebody on the executive team, and for you guys, it might be the CMO, CRO, I don't care, but somebody has to be accountable for it. And again, I will always advocate for that person being the CMO. The second one, defend the ICP. You will get so many people trying to tell you that the ICP is different because they sold to this one account or somebody was interested in a completely different area. The quarterly pull towards sprawl is relentless. Sales always wants to chase that bigger deal, that better deal. But again, you shouldn't just open in adjacent segments because a partner pulled you in that direction. It has to be a strategic move. And the CMO's job ultimately is to hold the line on what we know the company is actually for. Because again, as part of the GTM system, we're working with products, we're working with RevOps, we're working with customer success. And we know where we succeed, but crucially, we know where we fail. Third, brand is a compounding asset, invest in it. And this is one to fight for with the CFO, and you always will have to fight for it. Every single quarter that you underinvest in brand, that brand debt will grow. And you need to fix that because again, you lose your brand, a lot of times you are losing your moat as well. When the software is exactly the same, when you're in a competitive field, it's really important to know what you do stand for and what you don't stand for. The fourth one is design the go-to-market operating model. Stop thinking about silos, just marketing, just sales, just product. Don't sell into it. Design it jointly with the CRO, with the chief product officer, with the head of RevOps. The companies that scale past that 50 million mark, they have it. The smaller companies do not yet. If you want to scale, you need to build that. And the earlier you build that, the better it is because then the motions are in place. And here's where I need you to be very honest with yourselves. This is going to sting a little bit. Don't hate me. 4 questions, and you have to be really honest with yourselves. And you don't have to out yourselves in public here, right? But the first one, can every single person in your go-to-market, so marketing, sales, customer success, product, state your ICP in exactly the same way? Exactly the same way. Not broadly, the same. And if they can't, you have ICP sprawl. Time to fix it. The second one, has your core message been rewritten and not just restated, but actually rewritten over the last, say, 12 months is a good timeline, so 12 months. And rewritten means that the underlying positioning changed based on whatever new insight you gathered. And hopefully you are gathering loads of new insight, whether that's from customer advisory boards, from analysts, from each other. That doesn't really matter, but just gather that new information and rewrite your core message. That's really important. The third one is pipeline growth outpacing what you spend? Because again, marketing a lot of times is seen as an expensive kind of channel for things, right? But the second that you start spending less than what you're bringing in, it's a much better conversation with the CFO. And you need to be tracking that. You need to understand. You can't just wing it. You need to know your numbers, and you need to know them intimately as well. And the fourth, and here's for CMOs, but again, for anybody who's running a marketing function, regardless of title, right? Are you guys running the system, or are you running inside it? Big distinction there. If you're running inside it, you're shipping campaigns. If you're running it, you're designing the operating model. I know which one I'd rather be, and you guys probably the same. If you're honest, at least 3 of those stung a little bit. If you're super, super honest, and for me, they still do. Because again, it's ever changing. That's fine. That's the diagnostic doing its work. And so to close, if you're sitting somewhere between 20 and 50 million, and growth feels a lot harder than it should, it's probably not the team. It's probably not the product. It's probably not the market. So let's stop blaming a crappy market. It's the system. It's the system for go-to-market. And that's something that you can redesign. You shouldn't just sit there and say, you can do something about it. The companies that will break through this stage, they're not working the existing systems harder. They're continuously reinventing it. They're redesigning it. They're treating the marketing system as the asset that it truly is. So that's it for me today. Thank you very much.
Whoa, a lot of knowledge. It's so great. Thank you so much. I was thinking too about, I love the whole, when you talked about growth architects. I mean, what would you say it takes to be a really good one?
You have to be a great listener, you have to be very curious, and you have to be very humble, because part of being an architect is failing a lot and learning the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, and what's the biggest challenge getting everyone on board with this new mindset, or not new in a way, but it has to change. It's a transformation. The people behind it, how do you get people on board with that?
I think you have to build great relationships inside the company, but you also have to bring in the numbers. You have to bring in the know-how and just say, guys, look, this is what I'm noticing. These are the trends I'm seeing. Are you seeing this as well? Make them part of the journey. Don't just impose it on them, but also keep asking questions and keep being curious. And sometimes don't just say, hey guys, I've got the answer. It's a, what do you think? It's a bit of a softer approach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.